Oh, hi. So I hear you want to learn how to change a CPU in a computer. You might call this part 3 of how to compute or how to change your CPU. Or install one or uninstall one. I mean, it gets all three of those. We're framing this as a React video because I'm doing this voiceover and stuff like separately. And I already edited this in Shotcut, so you better appreciate the production quality or I'll come find you. So, you're gonna need two things, obviously. The most obvious is a computer and a CPU that you want to put into it. And you need a cool video transition like that. Alright, you need a screwdriver set. Generally, Phillips bit is gonna do here. Might want to have some nut drivers. You also need some thermal paste. This nice Arctic MX6 right here. Very nice, very nice. You're gonna need some paper towels. One for like surface protecting paper towels in case of thermal grease contact, and then obviously more for wiping down your stuff. And yeah, so you want to have a game plan where you're gonna set that CPU cooler. Get your CPU handy. Also make sure you have some rubbing alcohol. Really helps with the cleanup. 70% is better than this 99% that I have, but hey, we thug it out, as I like to say. We thug it out. So take your screwdriver and just barely, don't do this. Don't do this right here is what you don't want to do. You don't want to twist them off all super hella fast. Only about a half to a full turn at first. Yeah. I was imagining I would explain that later and you want to go in a crisscross pattern, like an X pattern, right? So like think about, you know, the pattern you would take if you're drawing an X. You would go across one way instead of just going, you know, instead of just going like to the one right next to it adjacent. You know, you don't want to do that. You want to, it's like removing a wheel on a car. I paused it and I realized I wasn't supposed to do that and extend the video by any bit. So yeah, you go on that crisscross pattern and you're just gonna want to do that little by little. And again, about half to a full turn. And then you can probably like thread it off at that point, like a quarter of the way, you know, not a little bit more. And once you've kind of relieved most of the pressure on it, then you can just go ahead and take them off as convenient to you. It is generally a good force of habit to do it in the X pattern anyways. This is where everything went wrong. And this is what you risk with pin grid array CPUs. And what pin grid array means is that there are pins on the underside of the CPU versus LGA, which is most of, oh, by the way, I dropped these fucking thumb screws so many times, it was ridiculous. But you have LGA, which is most Intel CPUs, and then AMD CPUs from AM5 and presumably onwards, but Intel once had pin grid array. Basically, this is a thing that can only happen with pin grid array or PGA CPUs, which is basically all of AMD's lineup, except for a few server Opteron processors that you would have never had in your own experience. So this is something that can happen with any PGA CPU, remember. And generally the way to fix this is to twist back and forth.
Oh no.
Oh, that noise. Yep, and this is the aftermath. In case you're wondering why I cut so much out, is because I was trying to be careful and I kind of like had like my full ass dumb stupid head in there, so my dumb catboy head. So yeah, what can you do now? Because generally, if you get the thermal paste separated, yeah, you can get a little plastic sponger like we have in the iFixit kit, and as long as you prop that CPU cooler up somewhere where you can get just enough leverage on it, and you want the leverage to be on the substrate of the CPU. You want it to be on the like green substrate. Closest to the IHS, which is the metal part, the integrated heat spreader, because if you have it kind of braced up against that, not only do you get all the more leverage, but you're less likely to scratch that substrate, which if you're using the right tool, which would be like nylon plastic, like, you know, like what the, yeah, oh, by the way, this is how you would normally remove the CPU, is you would open up the socket. It's a ZIF, zero insertion force socket. God, these video effects are nice. So we're inspecting it for damage right now to make sure no pins got left behind or anything like that. Or, I mean, it was just this was the best case scenario. The original CPU, the Ryzen 5600 that I had in here, the real workhorse, honestly, what I put it through, man, it was undamaged too. Just a ton of thermal paste left on it, caked on. Very precision job, will you say? So yeah, we're just looking at this one a little bit too much, and I'm explaining that bottom left corner piece, there's a tiny little gold dot that tells you where, and on that CPU socket, I'm turning the light on here, in the bottom left, if we were to look very carefully at it, in fact, you may have seen it before, is there will be a little triangle, and that one is also in the bottom left from the way we are facing it, and yours will look the same. For this AM4 socket specifically, yes, that's, you know, your guide, but I was showing off the back of it too to say, like, if you really know and you got a careful eye, then you can just know if it's like on this one where the triangle on that CPU socket is very faint. But once you've, you know, kind of felt it up a little bit, you got to feel that thing up just a teeny tiny bit to make sure it's all the way in there, and then you can get that lever arm all the way down. You can also use your fingernail to kind of feel around the edge, piece of paper as a feeler gauge or whatever, or cardstock rather. Then you want to put on your thermal paste. So we're going to apply this not too liberally. You want to not use too horribly much. And that looks like a lot from the lighting and the angle, but I promise you I have done a lot worse. So this is just kind of me from experience adding this on. An X pattern typically does fine, but I like to, without adding more, all the stuff that's accumulated on the sides, I kind of, you know, try to wipe that down in between the dealios there. So yeah, wind up pre-spreading it. You don't actually really need to pre-spread it that much. If your cooler block is halfway decent and you apply that pressure down evenly, then it should spread out just fine. You may notice that I took the time to wipe the nozzle of my thermal paste tube. Man. And this is, yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah. It's having a little bit of difficulty at my angle, trying not to, again, have my stupid dumb Catboy head in there. So you just line it up with those studs, and then, I don't know I was black there. I kind of forgot. Oh yeah, because it was like, yeah, compilation or whatever. Oh yeah, and a moment of silence. It was a moment of silence for how many fucking times I dropped those thumb screws on the motherboard, which I cut out a lot of that, but just know I did it a lot. You probably will too. I'm also just clumsy, stupid, and what they say about trying to film things, so you're thinking about the angle of filming things, and also what that implies to your headspace and how much, like, cognitive load you've got going on just from that. Anytime you open your computer, if you take some time to wipe a thing or two off to make it look a little teeny tiny bit cleaner. But yeah, that's basically it. Man, I love the video effects I used in here. And that's basically it. I mean, it's really simple, and then putting the CPU back in, as you can see, is basically doing the same thing in reverse. It's just making sure you have it oriented correctly. It's really simple with the zero insertion force sockets for PGA. You know you've got it right when it just drops in effortlessly, right? You know, you've got just enough weight resting on the socket that you get a feel for these kinds of things, but you know, it's not too terribly bad. And as you can see, the worst case scenario possible happened, but since I was pulling upward and not to the side or anything all fucked up like that, we got very incredibly lucky and nothing bad happened. So, and just know that it doesn't matter how many times you've changed a CPU, you can still have everything possible go wrong. Dropping screws, a piece of the bracket fell off while I was trying to get it lined up with the studs the first time, which is cut out of that footage. All in all, it's really great. So this is basically the most scuffed CPU upgrade that I have ever had the pleasure of working on. It was honestly fantastic. It was fantastic. I was inventing new curse words. I came up with a slur for thermal paste, and I don't even remember what it was. Anyways, catch me next time. maybe I'll do an entire ass budget build or something like that, or show you how that might be possible in modern day. But every time I look at, I'm probably gonna have to go with the DDR3 platform because DDR4 is retardedly expensive. It's crazy. So yeah, we'll see you then. I don't know what it's gonna be, but yeah, you can count on the regular, as usual, great ass streams. It's fun to do something different every now and then. Okay, guys, I'll catch you later. Wow, my model's glitching out still. Bye-bye.